And ladies and gentlemen, your winner of the 2024 NRL Premiership is... Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my NRL 2024 predictions, one of the great videos of the year, and we are doing them again. If you are new here, then this is how it works. We're not going through the ladder. Everyone else can do that. Instead, I'm just going to give you 11 predictions today. Usually we do 10, but I'm feeling a bit cheeky and a bit frisky. So we're going to do 11. Then at the end of the year, we can basically just go through and tally it up. But don't worry, I will show you my ladder at the end of the video. But ladies and gentlemen, whether you are new here, whether you are an older viewer, make sure you do all the three. Smash that like button if you enjoy the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. This is the unofficial, official home of Australian sport. Drop a comment down below. Do you agree with me? Do you think I'm an idiot? Let's get straight into it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's kick things off with prediction one. And this isn't really a prediction. It is a prediction. That's why I'm doing 11 instead of 10. But this is just a bonus one. But I'm predicting this will be the closest NRL season of all time. Now, I'm not going to go through maths to define that for you, but what I am predicting when I mean that is I believe that the top four, the top eight, the minor premiership, and the wooden spoon, all four major ladder positions will come down to the final round of the season. This season is going to be absolutely incredible. It started off extremely close last year. Obviously, Penrith and Brisbane were two outliers, but I think that with just a bit of a spoiler here, with those two coming back to the pack and all the teams really, nearly all of them outside the top eight improving in 2024, I think this is going to be one of the closest seasons. I think a team is going to be maybe fighting for top four, and if they suffer back-to-back losses, could be missing the top eight. I think this is going to be an extremely close season, and I think all four ladder positions will be available and up for grabs heading into the final round. All right, that is the bonus one for you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into what you're all here for. Let's go through the 10 predictions I have for the 2024 NRL season. Last year, we started off with the Premiers. So this year, let's go to the opposite end. My wooden spoon is for 2024. This is going to be no surprise to anyone. It is the St. George Illawarra Dragons. I went into full detail on them in a video about a week or so ago. I just don't think they're up to it. I think this is a team that, while I said just then that all the teams in the bottom are going up, the Dragons don't seem to be going down. They've lost Sullivan, they've lost Damona. There's big question marks over Tyrell Sloan. Ben Hunt is a year older, and while I still think he's going to be a great halfback, I just can't see anyone being worse than the St. George Illawarra Dragons. Now, look, on their day, they've still got some talent. I think Blake Laurie, he's actually not that far off playing for Origin, despite a lot of people laughing at him. Ben Hunt's amazing. I think Zach Lomax could have a big year. Raymond Faitala-Mariner could maybe hit his potential. There's a lot of maybes with this Dragon side, which isn't what you want, because like I said, this comp is going to be so close. And when you're the second last team, and in my opinion, at least, you're only getting worse, I think they're getting the wooden spoon. But in saying that, Shane Flanagan will be safe. And in fact, my second prediction is that no coaches will be sacked. I think that nearly every single head coach is going to be safe, unless the team has a disastrous season. Maybe Manly with Seabold, maybe North Queensland if Todd Payton struggles again. Parramatta Eels, unfortunately, Brad Arthur's name is always tossed around. And one coach does always get sacked per year, it feels like, but I am predicting that 0 head coaches will get the sack in 2024. I feel like they're all safe. Obviously, you got your big dogs, Ivan Cleary, Wayne Bennett, who's already leaving. I think all those boys, they're absolutely going absolutely nowhere. And I think all your bottom teams, you know, your Dragons, they just can't let go of Flanagan. The Tigers are not going to let go of Benji, even if they lose every single game. Des Hasler's not going anywhere, even if the Titans do underperform. I just think that every head coach can sign up for release for 2025 because they're not going anywhere. All right, let's get a bit controversial. And even this one, it pains me to say it, but I've just got no room in my top 8. I'm predicting that only one Queensland team will play finals in 2024, that being the Brisbane Broncos. The Brisbane Broncos are awesome. We will talk about them more in the video, but it's not from a lack of not thinking I think that teams are going to be good. I think the North Queensland Cowboys definitely have a top 8 roster. It's just a question mark over Chad Townsend and an aging forward pack for me. I say aging, they still got Ruben Cotter. They still got Nanai, but I'm more talking about your Hesses, your Taumalolos, your Jesse McLeans. All those boys are getting up there in age, and they can't, I don't think, in my opinion, they're going to replicate what they did 2 years ago. I think at some point we may even see Tom Dearden go into the halfback role. I'm not sure how long Chad Townsend has left, which is sucked because I need Chad Townsend vlogs more than I need oxygen. And the Titans, I think the Titans are on the up. Same with the Dolphins. I think the Titans and the Dolphins can be really excited going into 2024. I think the Dolphins are still a few years away. I would love to see Wayne Bennett keep on coaching there. I don't know why there's a push to get rid of him. I guess they want Christian Wolf. But the Titans, I'm really excited about the Titans. One of the best young forward packs in the league. It's just they're a Kieran Foran injury away from their season being derailed. And you know me, I go for a team that has a player where if he gets injured, the season derails. I think I could easily see the Titans or the Cowboys pushing for top 8, but just with my ladder, sorry fellas, I can only afford to have one. Speaking of the top 8, spoiler alert, I have 3 teams going into the top 8 who missed it last year, which means 3 have to come out. And I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I've got the Canberra Raiders, the Newcastle Knights, and the Cronulla Sharks all missing the top 8 in 2024. A lot of people have the Raiders down the bottom, and that makes a lot of sense, at least in my opinion. They've overperformed the last 2 years, and they've just lost their best player. I know Jack White, he didn't have the best 2023 off the field. They've got a lot of young rookies, and these guys could shock the world. Ricky Stewart, in my opinion, is one of the top tier, maybe just the second tier, below the Bellamy's and the Clearys in terms of where he ranks amongst head coaches. He's done a phenomenal job the past few years, but I just think the roster's just not there this year. They've got a lot of young players, but they're going to take time to work themselves out in the spine because KO Weeks, I think, is a shot to play for 6 or fullback. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Ethan Strange. I don't know how this roster is going to compete. They're one of the few teams like the Dragons, so I think have only regressed going into this year. And it's the one year where you really can't afford to do it. The Cronulla Sharks as well, for me, a bit of the same. They're just basically the same. And they really struggled in 2023. They did a great job to come back. Nico Hines is going to have another phenomenal season. I'm excited to see how him and Trindle go. It's just basically another case of you got all these teams below them improving. And I just can't see the Cronulla Sharks keeping their spot in the top 8. And I'm sorry, Newcastle Knights fans. It's the same for you. I think the Newcastle Knights was such a feel-good story last year, but unless Kalen Ponga can replicate what he did in 2023 in 2024, I just can't have Newcastle Knights in my top 8 above some of the other teams I've got coming into it. So I'm sorry, Sharks. I'm sorry, Raiders. I'm sorry, Knights fans. You're allowed to dislike the video, but I've got you dropping out of my top 8. But coming into it, it's got no surprise. I've got the South Sydney Rabbitohs coming into it. But my other 2, they're pretty bitter rivals. The Parramatta Eels come back in, and so do the Manly Warringah Sea Eagles. The South Sydney Rabbitohs, that was an astronomical fall off towards the back end of the year. All the pressure is on Jason Demetrio, but like I said, what I said, no coaches will get sacked. I'm obviously predicting South Sydney to bounce back. Their team's just too good. I think if off the field they can get everything right, get all the boys fit, because I think while I'm a big boy, I can't say much. I think fitness was a big problem for them last year, especially in their key players. Cody Walker was phenomenal. I'm interested to see where they go with their halves. I think there's a real strong case to have Jack White as your 6 and Cody Walker as your 7 and just go full-on attacking football, because you've also got Latrell, who's probably the best ball-playing fullback in the competition as well. I think it's going to be a big year for Latrell. And while I do have some major concerns around their forward pack, including losing Harm Saleh, I can definitely not have the Rabbitohs in my top 8, if that makes sense. The Parramatta Eels are the same. Their spine is just frankly too good not to be in the top 8, especially if they can keep that off-the-field distractions. I say distractions, they definitely brought a lot of that on themselves. If Dylan Brown can stay out of trouble, then we know how well he's going to partner Mitchell Moses. And Dylan Brown is still years off his prime, so he's only going to continue to improve. If he can play like he did in 2022, then the Parramatta Eels maybe be pushing for a top 4 spot. But Gutho, Moses, Barlow, RCG, I know the outside backs are a bit light, but that's the one place where I think you can afford to have a bit of less strike. I still think they're going to be able to do the job. And with the roster they've got, I just can't see them missing the top 8 2 years in a row. And in the last spot in my top 8, I've got the Eels, the Bunnies, and Manly going into it. Now, in all fair income, I think this is going to be such an important year for the Manly Sea Eagles. Obviously, Tom Trbojevic, we all know him. If Tom has another, season-ending injury very early on in the season, then I think this may be his final season in the maroon and white. But in saying that, if he's fully fit and you've got Luke Brooks firing, DCU, who maybe this is going to be the year he starts to fall off, but if he can stay injury-free, if Jake can stay injury-free, Paseka improves. Olakawatu does his thing. I mean, this team is better than it was in 2021. So I've got them going into the top 8. I think Luke Brooks and DC will partner each other beautifully. I can't not have this team in my top 8. But who will rise to the top? Ladies and gentlemen, the Brisbane Broncos are my minor premiers for 2024. It's hard to say that it's not going to be Penrith because Penrith have been just so dominant. It's not like the Roosters back-to-back where they looked, weak at different points. Penrith have been so dominant for so long. And saying that, though, I think Penrith are coming back more than the Brisbane Broncos are. The big question with the Broncos is just Adam Reynolds, but another year under Reece Walsh, another year under Ezra Mam, another year under Pat Carrigan and Payne Haas. I mean, in my opinion, that's two of the best 3 middle forwards in the competition. They've got such a good backline. I think they'll miss Flegler and Farnworth a lot. I think they're going to miss Farnworth heaps, but they're just going to change the way they play. I think Cobbo, the obvious choice to come in the centre. And I can't believe people aren't talking about Corey Oates getting that wing spot. Jesse Arthurs was so underrated. Probably close to Brisbane's best in that grand final. I need the Brisbane Broncos to win the minor premiership. If they fall out of the top 2, even the top 4, it's going to be a massive disappointment. I think this team is so good and it's so young that I think they're just guaranteed the minor premiership. They were pretty good during the regular season last year, exploded in finals, obviously choked the grand final, but they're going to have that Penrith 2021 factor, and I think they're just going to have a really dominant regular season. And while I do think that Walsh and Mam and even Haas and Carrigan are going to have phenomenal seasons, I think the Dally M system isn't going to reward them. My pick for the Dally M in 2024, it's going to be Nathan Cleary. I think with Crichton going, even more of the onus to scoring points is going to fall under Nathan Cleary, and Cleary is still 2 or 3 years away from his prime. So I think this is the year Nathan Cleary finally gets it. I think it's also the year he can finally maybe stamp his mark in the Origin arena. I think it's going to be a big year for Nathan Cleary. Obviously, 25 and beyond is going to be huge when he loses Jerome Luai, but I think it's going to be a big year for the big chin. However, Penrith fans, in saying that, I love you. I've picked you 2 years in a row to win the premiership in 2022 and 2023. But ladies and gentlemen, the Penrith Panthers won't feature in the 2024 NRL Grand Final. I know. It goes against everything I have ever said about the Penrith Panthers. It's just at some point it's going to fall off. I mean, the difference between them and the Roosters is because of how dominant they are. The Roosters always looked weak, but at some point, surely this engine's going to run out. This isn't anything to do with Penrith. I do think on roster and that, they're going to come back to the pack. I don't know if Fisher Harris is going to be able to keep up how well he's going. Leota as well. There's something about it. It was like when the Roosters went for 3 in a row. It just, everything told you it couldn't happen. It's just for me, I don't know what it is. I just think there's going to be something again with Penrith's way. Whether it's injuries, whether it's suspensions, whether it's just a combination of bad luck during Origin period. Nothing can fall a team's way 4 years in a row. That is nothing to do against Penrith, but I can't see Penrith making it back to the grand final. I'm really sorry, Penrith. I'll go more into it when I do a Penrith Panthers preseason video, but I'm sorry, Penrith. I love you. I just can't see you making a 5th straight grand final. But one of the teams who will be in the grand final, we just talked about them. I'm going the Brisbane Broncos to be in the grand final. Like I said, outside the concern around Adam Reynolds getting older and getting injured, even if he still just does a Chad Townsend 2022 Cowboys job, does what Kieran Foran's going to do for the Titans, I think the Broncos are going to be fine. They're very mobile in the forward pack. They're so fast. They've got such good outside backs. They're just so good everywhere. Like I said, their best players last year are nearly all going to improve, except for maybe Adam Reynolds. I've got the Brisbane Broncos returning to the grand final in 2024, but I don't have them winning it. Because, ladies and gentlemen, give me a second. Year of the Bird, baby. Your 2024 NRL premiers are the Manly Warringah Seagulls. Am I being biased? You better know it. But ladies and gentlemen, I am officially predicting the Manly Warringah Seagulls to win the 2024 NRL premiership. Am I the most biased NRL content creator? You best believe it. But I genuinely think this is going to be a big year for Manly. Like I said, this 2021 roster, I think it's even better than it was back then. Yes, you're completely right in thinking that Tom Trbojevic is going to get injured, touch wood. You're completely right in thinking Jake's too old, Cherry's too old. But the simple fact of the matter is, when Tom, Jake, and DCE are all fit and healthy at the same time, Manly are a top 4 side. They bring in a former Dally M halfback who is hitting his prime and doesn't even have to be the second or third option on the team. Olakau'atu is only going to improve. Pasek is only going to improve. Garrick's one of the best outside back in the comp. Between Cooler and Saab, no one can defend that speed. Outside of our middle forwards, which I think is, to be fair, a concern, I just think we've got so much strike. I think if the Manly Seagulls play like they did in the end of 2023, and they have a fit and healthy Turbo and a fit and healthy Luke Brooks, and Schuster comes back, I know there's a lot of ands and ifs and buts, but I'm excited. I don't know why. Everyone's probably going to call me an idiot, and dislike the video if you want. I don't care. I still get the views. But if they all stay fit, and by all, I know they're not all going to stay fit, but if our big 4 can stay fit, Luke Brooks, DCE, Turbo, and Jake, we're a top 4 side. If Cooler reaches his potential, if Saab reaches his potential, if Garrick reaches his potential, if Schuster plays even like he did in 2021, Olakau'atu's only going to go up. Paseka's only going to go up. Lachlan Croker is one of the most underrated dummy halves in the competition. As long as Manly don't have to scrape the barrel like we've done the past few years when it comes to injuries, then I think we've got all the makings of making it on the big day. The thing is with Manly, I know a lot of people aren't predicting us to make the 8, but like I've said, the simple fact is if all our best players are fit, we're going to win the comp, baby. Book it in. Book it in on Sportsbet. Am I biased? Of course I am. But I just genuinely think that Penrith and Brisbane are coming back. Every team below them has improved. Manly, when they're fit, are a top 4 team. I know there's been questions around them competing with the top teams, but if they can sort that out, then don't tell me they're not going to win the comp. DCE is getting up there in age. It's a career-defining year for Dom Trbojevic and even Jake. We've got such young strikes, such good young forwards. It's just our middle forwards, but are a concern. But if all my ands and buts and ifs come true, then it is officially the year of the bird. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there are all 11 of my predictions, and here is my full ladder for the 2024 NRL season. It is February. It is footy time. Smash that like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Leave a comment down below. Am I a biased prick? Am I an idiot? Am I stupid? I'm none of the above. I am a genius. Just remember who picked Penrith the past 2 years. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.